Good evening, Monadnock Region, and welcome to another special bonus episode of GOMO Tonight. I'm your host here in the Space Lounge, Chris DiLoretto, here with my lovely co-host,
Zoe Rotenheinsman.
and we are joined today by professional actor and cabaret singer, Michael Dell'Orto. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. So we'll start things off. If you could tell us a little bit about who you are and what your background is and what brought you to where you are today.
Well, it's interesting. I grew up in Jersey City, New Jersey. I married a woman who I went to grade school with, all 8 years of grade school together.
Oh, wow.
And eventually we got married in 75 and moved to Washington, D.C., where I was a graduate student at the Catholic University of America studying theater. And she got a job at what was then a very obscure little company called Digital Equipment Corporation. And so she was brought up here eventually to New Hampshire to work near the home offices, and that's what brought us to New Hampshire. So I've been up here since 1979. I got my equity card in 77. I have been working in professional theater for the bulk of my career, 40 odd years now, 46, 47 years now, thereabouts. I have worked at theaters in and around New England. Once again, since 1979, I was in the opening season of the Monadnock, listen to me, of the Merrimack Repertory Theater. I have worked at the Worcester Foothills. I have worked at Peterborough Players. I've worked at the Old American Stage Festival. I have done all sorts of, I've directed, I've acted, and just tried to, carve out a little niche for myself living up here in the boonies. We live in Wilton, our lovely, old Wilton Center, which is, in fact, we're right around the corner from Andy's Summer Playhouse, if you all know about Andy's Summer Playhouse. And when my daughter was a young child, she worked there as well, performed there as well, and in fact performed there with Jared Mazzacci, who was himself one of the young people there who is now running the organization and doing an absolutely splendid job of it. He is bringing so much to the party at Andy's and teaching these kids so much, and I'm so pleased that he's been able to have the success he's had over the years. So, the vagaries of show business being what they are, a couple of years ago, I was chatting with a colleague of mine, Kathy Manfrey, who is is a stalwart at the Peterborough Players. And I said, I haven't got anything going on. Why don't you and I maybe do a little cabaret? Wouldn't that be fun? Let's try and do that. So I contacted friends, the owners at Del Rossi's restaurant in Dublin, and who said they were more than glad to host us for an evening, not thinking that very many people were going to show up. But of course, Kathy and I have our mailing lists. So the place was jammed. We did a lovely little cabaret, and we said, well, we ought to do this again sometime. Jump forward. And in the interim, I had been seduced, if you will, onto the board of Monadnock Music, which is a lovely, I don't know how much your listeners know about Monadnock Music, but it is 54 years and running now, an organization that brings orchestral and chamber music to the towns and villages of the Monadnock region, all for free. And of course, free is never really free, as we all know. So we do have to raise money in addition to applying for grants and begging. We need to raise money from time to time. So from time to time, we do ticketed concerts that help us to raise the money to put on the free concerts. Anyway, so my wife had been on the board of directors for a while. And so when she left, they said, well, we really miss your wife. Can we have you now? So I said, okay, fine. I would join the board of directors. I've been on it for 6 years now. And Lena Barakat, our managing director,
who actually was the guest on this program a couple months back.
Yes. Well, yeah. Lena and I were chatting. In fact, I had been very fortunate that I had also done a film with Lena at one point.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely marvelous experience, and I loved working with her. And I hope to God I get to work with her again at some point.
Yeah, she seems wonderful.
She really is. She's a really good director, and she's got her script writing is really on point. It is really, really lovely, and I hope that her successes continue as she grows as an artist.
Yeah, I hope so too.
But we were chatting, and I said to Lena, she said, we're looking to do these off-season events that are not necessarily orchestral or chamber music concerts, but to draw in a different audience to raise some money. And I said, well, geez, Kathy Manfrey and I have been doing this. We've done this cabaret. Would you like us to do this for Monadnock Music? She said, sure, yeah, why not? So we did a cabaret at Bass Hall in Peterborough in February of 2020, just as everything went dark. And so it was a lovely camp. We raised a lot of money. We were very, very pleased. And so, things have been grinding along, as we all know, they've been grinding along, and we're all finally coming out from under our respective rocks at this point, and things seem to be opening up. And when we were talking about the planning of this season, this past summer, well into the fall and winter, for the various events we would do, both for the free concerts and for the ticketed fundraisers, Lena said, how about another cabaret? I said, okay, what do you have in mind? She says, well, Stephen Sondheim has just passed, and wouldn't it be a really great idea, because he's in the mind of a lot of people, even people who are not necessarily musical theater people, know who Stephen Sondheim is. Wouldn't it be great to do a little Stephen Sondheim evening? I went, okay, you've tempted me. You have tempted me. So I went out, beating the bushes for personnel, and I have to say that people are a little intimidated by Stephen Sondheim, and I had several people who I asked to participate who politely declined, saying, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I've got what it takes to do this. Now, I will, look, full disclosure, I am probably being rather bold in saying that I can do it. I don't know. I mean, I will leave that up to the audience. I have performed Sondheim in other venues before. I think I did Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum twice in my storied theatrical career. But anyway, I said, well, what the heck? I mean, how bad can it be? I'll get out there. I'll sing my little heart out. It'll be fine. And so I was trying to find people. A number of people turned me down for a lot of different reasons, some of which were because they were booked or because they were also intimidated by the project. But I finally found 4 willing suckers. I mean, lovely people who would love to perform Sondheim with me, who were brave enough to do this. And so I have to give them a shout out. I mean, the first one is a gentleman by the name of Kyle Trombley. He is a student at Keene State. He is a superb pianist, and he is doing the musical direction for us and is whipping us into shape during our all too few rehearsals. Because the other thing is that we're trying to juggle schedules. I have not only Kyle, but a young gentleman by the name of Logan Philips, who is the tenor in all of this, and they are both full-time students. So my goal of having rehearsed like for a straight week for 40 hours went down the drain, because that wasn't going to happen with them.
Right.
So we have been rehearsing for the last month or so, catch as catch can, and Kyle is trying to keep us all in line and whipping us into shape. And so Logan Philips, once again, a voice major at Keene State, who is doing wonderful work and is going to sing some of the masters' well-known songs. People that know Stephen Sondheim usually know these. I'm not going to give anything away in terms of what we're doing. I want people to be surprised, but nonetheless,
okay, I was gonna try, but all right,
that's okay. And then I was fortunate because I know Eve Pierce from Divine Mercy Parish in Peterborough, where she sings on Saturday nights or Sundays. And I knew her from that. I knew she had a wonderful soprano voice, and I approached her, and I realized that she sings with, in fact, one of the choir directors at Divine Mercy, who is the director of Waking Finnegan, the Irish traditional group she sings with. And she has, oh my God, the most glorious soprano. She is just, for a woman so young, she has just a beautiful tone, a beautiful voice, and a lot of feeling behind. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A lot of feeling and a lot of oomph behind it. That is people are going to. There's one particular song. Once again, I'm not going to give anything away, but it is a very obscure Sondheim tune that does not come from any musical that he ever wrote. Oh, it comes actually from a teleplay that he wrote music for, and it is a gorgeous song that when I heard her sing it for the first time, everybody there had tears running down their face because it was so beautiful. It was just so gorgeous. All right. And then finally, last but not least, is Lisa Bostnar. Now, I'm hoping that many of your viewers, listeners are familiar with Lisa and her work at the Peterborough Players. She is an outstanding actress. She is the hardest worker I've ever met or worked with in my career. And she will tell you right off the bat, she's not a singer. She can sing, And I saw her do one of the Patsy Cline. There's like several Patsy Cline musicals, whichever one the Players did a couple of seasons ago. She and Bridget Byrne did an absolutely marvelous turn. Bridget Byrne was Patsy Cline, and Lisa was her best friend, whose the character name escapes me. But Lisa cut loose, singing, dancing, the whole 9 yards. And I went, you can do this. She said, do you think I can? I said, yes, I know you can, because what you're going to bring to the table is your amazing discipline, your amazing work ethic, and the fact that you could sell a song like nobody's business. And so she's got a couple of duets with Eve. We've got a couple of group numbers we're doing together, but she has 2 solo numbers that are going to leave you laughing and then crying, because they're so different, disparate numbers that she does with her consummate flair. And so I am so proud and so pleased that she said yes, because she's a brave woman jumping off the cliff to do this. And I think everybody that knows her and knows her work primarily from the Players is going to be stunned when they see her do this. So I'm hoping that. And I have to also, of course, give a shout out to Steve Jackson at the park, who agreed to co-produce this with us, and the people at Keene Pride, because Lena Barricat, of course, as you know, is on the board of Keene Pride. So they have agreed to co-produce this with us. And I hope that we can raise a couple bucks for Monadnock Music, for the park, and for Keene Pride. I mean, we all do good work. Look at what we have out here in the Monadnock region. I was telling you before we started recording this, it's like how many of my colleagues in Boston or New York, or even my colleagues spread hither, thither, and yon around the country, how many of my colleagues go, what in the hell do you people do up there? What is there to do? I said, well, there's a lot. There is, like I said, Monadnock Music. I can go to a chamber music concert with some of the best musicians in the country, if not the world, in my little church, the little congregational church up here in Wilton Center that's right next to Andy's Summer Playhouse. Seriously? It's free.
Yeah.
And then I get to have cookies and punch with them afterwards.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
You don't do that at the BSO.
That's right.
You don't do that at Tanglewood. You're not getting cookies and punch with Yo-Yo Ma at Tanglewood. Sorry, not going to happen. Okay? But if Yo-Yo Ma were to come here, we'd get to have cookies and punch with him. Yeah, that's the deal. That's the deal. And that is why this place, we have so many things here. We've got the park. We've got the Wilton Town Hall Theater. Have you ever been to the Wilton Town Hall Theater?
Oh,
Isn't it wonderful? What a great experience. What an absolutely marvelous, wonderful experience. Can you indulge me in an anecdote about the Wilton Town Hall Theater?
Definitely.
All right. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I guess, I had 2 lines in the film The Fighter, the David O. Russell film, The Fighter. Mark Wahlberg, Christian Bale.
I heard that, yeah.
Okay, 2 lines, that's all. Yeah. Do not blink, you will miss me.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to look for you. It's
it's there, and I show up, and it's all lovely and wonderful, but do not blink or you will miss me.
Yep.
Dennis showed it at the town hall, and all of my neighbors came. Everybody in town who knew me came to see that. And they sat in the theater and they watched this brilliant film. I spent 8 hours sitting right next to Christian Bale and Mark Wahlberg, and I was stunned. I was scared to death, but I was stunned. Okay, to watch these guys do what they do, But anyway, so film goes on and on and on, and I'm in like somewhere in the last 20 minutes of the film. Right? My little face pops up on the screen. The entire audience erupts in cheers and applauding and everything. And then the few people who were there who weren't my friends or neighbors are all looking like, what the hell is, what is going on here? And then, of course, my name rolls by in the credits, and it's like, yay! And they're all screaming and yelling and carrying on again. And so as we're leaving the theater, somebody turned to somebody they knew and said, what the hell was that all about? And he pointed to me and said, didn't you see him? He was in the movie. And they went, oh my God, you were in the movie. And
that's awesome.
And the thing is, if I had been in New York or even Boston watching this movie in a theater, I would be just another extremely obscure minor actor sitting in the dark by himself. Okay? But in this place we call home, the Monadnock region, right? I was surrounded by so much love and so much care and so much community, you know? And the woman who had asked the question of what the heck was going on, she said, "Wow, are you really a star?" And I said, "Well, ma'am, for tonight I am. You betcha. You betcha. I am here in my town because this is what's important to me, you know?" And I think that all of these things, Monadnock Music, the Park Theater, Keene Pride, okay? It's all about our community. It's all about what we do to make this the most livable place, the most welcoming place, the most challenging place, the most stimulating place that we can make it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean?
do. Yeah.
What is not to love about being here? Yeah, I know, I'm coming. The dog. It's the dog. The dog is going, come on, the door is closed. I don't want you to, anyway.
Yeah, no, we won't keep you long. I wanted to
No,
ask
no.
you, what's your favorite Sondheim work? You don't have to tell me
Oh
what's
my
in the
goodness.
program, but what
It
do
is
you
well
resonate with?
in terms of overall, I would guess that it's a toss up. I mean, I love A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum because it's just so funny. It's just a wonderful body, pull all the stops out far show that like I said, I've done twice. I enjoy it immensely. So much fun to do. Um, I got to see because when I was growing up in Jersey City, you could go to almost any theater on Broadway for $2 or $3 in the balcony, four at the
Oh
best.
wow.
And
Wow.
you could go when I was in college. I could go to the theater every night for a week plus matinees and not make a dent in $50.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
I
Those
saw,
days are gone.
yeah, yeah. I saw during the original run. I saw Company. I saw Follies. I saw A Little Night Music. Okay. I saw Pacific Overtures on tour. Now, Pacific Overtures has one of my favorite songs in it from him, which, of course, now the name of which has gone out of my ancient brain. Um,
Must not be doing that one on Sunday.
anyway, we're not. Well, the trouble was, is I wanted to do that one,
Yep.
but it's so complex that we were all trying to put it together, and it just wouldn't
Yeah.
work.
Wasn't
Oh,
happening.
Someone in a Tree. That's the name of it. It's called Someone in a Tree, and it's a glorious number. That whole show is absolutely glorious. But there are so many things that I love about his work. I mean, there's a song called Anyone Can Whistle from the very obscure musical Anyone Can Whistle, which closed after 9 performances
Okay. Yeah, I haven't heard of
in
that
New
one.
York. That I've done when I was younger as an audition song for years and years and years. I love that song. I do love. But Eve is doing that. I'll give you a little. Eve is going to do that one for us.
Okay, cool. We got one. Nice.
Um, it's so hard to say because I mean, my God, like I said, I saw Sweeney Todd.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah.
how can you? It's like you sit there and you're just like, wow, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
And this is Broadway.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I would be hard pressed to say. I would just say that the stuff that we've chosen is idiosyncratic and eclectic because it was what we wanted to do, what we thought we could do, what we thought we'd have the most fun doing. Because
Yeah, absolutely.
if nothing else, this has got to be fun.
It sounds fun.
And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we will have a nice informal atmosphere during the performance, which will be to welcome people into the little fun that we're having, to talk to them about stuff. This is not like, well, we're here, you're there, so shut up and listen for 60 minutes, 70 minutes. This is come and join us with this because it's so wonderful. I think that Stephen Sondheim, the McDowell Medal ceremony, when he spoke about how grateful he was that the McDowell colony, that the arts community in general was acknowledging the fact that there it was significant value to the collaborative artwork that is musical theater, because it isn't just him, it's everybody. It's orchestrators, designers, directors, actors, every dancers, choreographers, everybody comes together to put a musical. And because, yes, it's Stephen Sondheim's music, and yes, it's brilliant, and yes, isn't it wonderful to do this work, but there's a dozen people, 2 dozen people, 3 dozen people behind each production
Yeah, for
who
sure.
are putting in yeoman's work every day to make this experience come together. Do you know what I mean? Because, you was it? I think it might have been either, was it Cole Porter? I can't remember now. Somebody said something about, because it was during the wars, during World War II, they said, the best punishment I can think of for Hitler is to put him on the road with a musical. Because it's so hard. It's, so many things die a-borning, or you have to change. You have to, what do they always say about writing or any sort of creative event? You have to kill your darlings. These things you think are absolutely wonderful, and you go, they ain't working. They ain't working.
Right.
They ain't working. They ain't working. I'm sorry. I know I love this, but gotta go.
Been there.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
Like I say, at least one or two songs that, boy, oh boy, I wanted them so badly to be in this thing, and it's like, nah, they ain't working.
Sometimes you just gotta know when to let it go.
You gotta know when to let it go. Know when to let it go. So I hope that your viewers, listeners, will please come out and see us. There are still plenty of tickets available. It's a very large auditorium. If you get the expensive tickets, you get to have wine and cheese with us, not punch and cookies, but wine and cheese with the performers and the musical director. So I would hope that y'all would come out to support three very worthy organizations that are making life in the Monadnock region the special place that it is. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as a word of encouragement to anyone thinking about going, I think that the music of Sondheim is very intriguing, even for people who think that they are not musical people.
Mm-hmm.
Who don't. The idea of a cabaret might not seem familiar to you necessarily, but
right.
I mean, I went to when I went to college 20 years ago at Emerson. I knew nothing about musicals. Never heard of Stephen Sondheim or anything, but I had a very close friend who was a musical theater major and still to this day is a very, very avid Stephen Sondheim fan. And so he introduced me to all kinds. I mean, there was I think they did either Into the Woods or Company,
mm-hmm.
either at Emerson or at Harvard that year or something. But then in 2004, we went to see Assassins on Broadway.
Yes.
Which was really cool. I mean, that's a very interesting musical.
Yeah.
And that's, Sondheim's an interesting guy, and he goes in a lot of interesting directions. Like, this is not it's not Andrew Lloyd Webber. It's different,
No. Although they did share the same birthday.
I think I knew that. I think he told me. I think I was told that by my buddy a long time ago.
They actually share the same birthday, which I think is absolutely astonishing. And they had both performed at a benefit for Cameron McIntosh, the British producer. And they did this duet, if you can find it, because it's really very funny. The two of them playing together and singing this song about their quote unquote rivalry. And it was, you can find it on YouTube somewhere. It's absolutely charming. Absolutely charming.
Funny. Yeah, I will look that up. Yeah.
But yeah, so once again, I hope people will come out for this.
Yeah.
Like I said, these organizations, all of these organizations are well worth your support and your time. It's a splendid time is guaranteed for all. We are going to have a lot of fun. And especially you Lisa Bostnar fans out there, and you know who you are, you are going to see her just cut loose and have a grand time, and I just, we hope to see you all there on Sunday.
Yeah, that sounds great, everybody. Yeah, this is November 13th, Sunday at
Sunday,
4 p.m.
Park Theater, 19 Main Street, Jaffrey, New Hampshire.
Yep, it's a little night of Sondheim. We will put the link to the tickets in the show notes so that you can easily
so much.
Grab your tickets. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us, Michael. This has been a great conversation, and I hope to run into you Sunday.
Yes, indeed.
Maybe we'll get in on the line. Yeah. All right, take care.
Good night now.
Thank you.